For over the last 20 years, if you were looking to buy a compact luxury sports sedan that wasn't German, American, or Japanese, the Volvo S60 has fit that bill quite nicely. Now, back in 2019, the company graced us with an all-new third generation of their smallest sedan, finally moving it to the scalable product architecture and introducing a plethora of new four-cylinder turbo, supercharged, and of course electrified options. Now last year, Volvo saw fit to finally give the S60 a full refresh, and as you can see this week, we are driving the pinnacle of the S60 in terms of the powertrain specs. This right here is a 2023 S60 T8 Recharge Ultimate with the Black Edition appearance package. As you can see, it's a very handsome looking sedan, and under the hood we have the most power that we've ever seen in a Volvo sedan, up to 455 horsepower from its turbocharged electrified engine, which also now gives you up to 41 miles of EV-only range. So if you guys are in the market for a new compact luxury sports sedan that gives you that electric capability to do around town driving, and then also happens to qualify for the federal tax credit, has Volvo managed to make enough changes to the S60 to keep this vehicle fresh? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the exterior styling changes, I want to first show you guys what's underneath the hood. Now, the S60 is now available in two different powertrains. They used to offer like three. Now it's just the B5, which is a 2-liter turbo 4. However, the T8 takes that 2-liter turbo 4 and adds a very powerful electric motor at the rear axle. Now, I also want to point out that I am filming this video on March 23rd, which means this car still does qualify for the federal tax credit. When it goes live, the federal government may end up changing the qualifications based on the battery mineral sources, but that's a different topic. But let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain specs. As you can see, this has the latest version of the company's T8 powertrain, which means we have a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that pumps out around 13 pounds of boost pressure, and it's also augmented by a rear electric motor that has been significantly beefed up. That electric motor now makes up to 143 horsepower on its own, and it's fed by a much larger 18.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That's a pretty big jump from, I believe, 14 on the pre-refresh models. Volvo introduced this powertrain in mid-model year of 2022. The gas engine on its own makes 312 horsepower, which is a pretty healthy amount. Combined total is now 455 horsepower, up from 400, and we also have a pretty stout 523 pound-feet of torque. That makes it the most powerful Volvo sedan ever, and it should be good for 0 to 60 sprints in 4.3 seconds, according to Volvo. It all goes out through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and this vehicle does have an electronic all-wheel drive system. The rear axle is powered by that 153 horsepower or 43 horsepower electric motor. Now, in terms of fuel economy, the EPA says this will do around 74 mpge equivalent. That means that when you have the battery charged and drive this vehicle around, it should do about that in terms of the efficiency. When you're just driving it as a hybrid with the battery is depleted, it'll do 30 in the city, 33 on the highway. Premium gas is going to be recommended. It has about a 16-gallon gas tank. You should be able to do around 500 miles on a full charge and a full tank with it all said and done. Now, the top speed of this vehicle is surprisingly low at 114 miles an hour. Remember, this is Volvo. They're all about safety, and you shouldn't be driving that fast in your luxury sedan. And as this vehicle sits, it weighs in at just over 4,600 pounds, so it's a good deal heavier than its competitors because of all that electric motor componentry. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling. Now, when Volvo first debuted this sedan, I really loved the look. It was a beautiful looking sedan with wonderful proportions. I love how they finally moved it to their scalable product architecture, and that essentially carries over. The company didn't need to make too many direct changes to this vehicle to keep the styling fresh. But let's go over some of the changes that they have made. You can see there is a new Volvo emblem here, which also has a new look to it with the Black Edition package, because it's completely blacked out and all it says is Volvo in the actual, or floating in the actual emblem. It has a different style to the grille where it's all blacked out, and then you can see the Thor's hammer LED is front and, or it's basically right at the front of the vehicle where it has a very distinctive signature. It has an LED turn running light and turn signal. It has LED low and high beams. No fog lights, however, on this particular model, and you can see there are some actual functional openings here. Remember, this still has an internal combustion engine. And if you guys want the Black Edition package, I hope you like either black or white. The colors are thankfully free, but this is the only way you can get a Black Edition, is either black or white. I like how Volvo does offer the white exterior to give us that nice contrast, but they also should offer this, and I think red or their Thunder Gray that they also have. I think it would also be a nice little touch with all the black accents. Now moving around the side profile, this vehicle is on the bigger end of the compact scale at 188 inches long, and it has a 113.2 inch long wheelbase. Compared to the prior second generation, Volvo made this vehicle much larger by about 4 inches in the wheelbase and about 5 inches in the overall length, so significantly bigger than the prior generation. You can see the black edition comes standard with these beautiful gloss black 19-inch wheels, wrapped in a 235/40 R19 Pirelli P0 all-season tire. They are square tire design, so all of them have that 235 size tire, which is definitely going to be nice. And then you can see the brakes are all discs, which also give this vehicle a nice amount of stopping power. Now looking at the charge port door over here, you can see this is where you're going to charge the vehicle. It has a 3.7 kilowatt onboard charger. Now that charger allows you to basically go from 10 to 100% on a level 2 in about 5 hours. That is kind of a slow charge. This is a plug-in hybrid, so it doesn't have DC fast charging capability. So I would like to see Volvo beef up the charging speed. If you charge it on a level 1, it'll take about 10 hours as opposed to 5, so you could get away with charging this on a level 1. You can see the black edition also includes black painted mirrors with integrated turn signals, which are LED. These are also power folding, and then you can see a lot of the chrome is basically blacked out. All of them come standard with this twin panel moonroof, which if this vehicle had a black roof or an all panel roof, I think it would look even better. And then looking at the profile here, you can see very handsome looking sedan, especially in white. It just again looks classy, understated, but also nicely aggressive. Now looking at the rear, you can see a lot of the badging has also been blacked out. You have the signature Volvo design to the taillights where it's in full LED design. It spells out Volvo on the back, and then it says here again, T8 all-wheel drive recharge. Remember, this vehicle comes standard with all-wheel drive, and the T8 is supposed to be their plug-in hybrid powertrain. The only change really is the rear bumper. There's now no exposed exhaust tips, and it has a slightly cleaner look to it. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the design. I think this is definitely still one of the most handsome looking sedans that you can find in the segment. Now opening up the cargo area, or the trunk, you can see if you guys want more space, you can get a V60, which also comes only as a plug-in hybrid in the Polestar engineered trim. So it's kind of expensive, but it'll roughly triple the cargo capacity because this trunk here measures around 13.1 cubic feet, which is fine. It's about the same size as what you're going to get in the current BMW 3 Series, but bigger versus like a Lexus IS or a Mercedes-Benz C-Class or an Audi A4. You can see the seats do fold down in a 60/40 manner, and you have a trunk pass-through, which is nice. This is the level 1 charger that comes with the car, and sadly, I was hoping that there would be a nice place to store this in here, but you can see looking underneath here, there is not really any underfloor storage where that would go, which is why it's just randomly sitting here in the trunk. So most of you are probably going to just end up leaving that at home. But overall, the cargo capacity is certainly useful, but remember, there is a wagon version if you need more space. So the exterior of the S60 got pretty minimal changes for 2022, but let's go ahead and show you guys the interior, which did get a new infotainment system, although the basic design is the same. Before we get inside, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current Volvo key fob. They used to wrap this in the same leather that you get on the interior, but as you can see, maybe for the higher end models, but for the lower end models, it's now just covered in a black plastic. You have your usual buttons to lock, unlock, open up the trunk, panic button on this side. No remote start from the fob, but you should be able to access that if you guys have access to the app for this vehicle. But as you can see, as I approach the car, it has traditional door handles here. Touch that little area there. You can hear it locks, it folds the mirror in, which is nice. Just touch the back of that door handle and that will unlock the door for you. Now, sadly, I wish Volvo would offer a red interior option with this white exterior with the black edition. It is the black edition package, which means you only get the black seats. This is kind of a contrast of a leather with their city text, stuff like that with the contrasting piping and stitching. These are the sport seats that you also get on the Ultimate trim. Keep in mind, if you guys go for the Core, you'll have a different material seats and they also won't be as aggressively bolstered. These are essentially the same seats that you find in the Polestar engineered trims, minus the yellow trim and accent stitching, which again, I would like to see Volvo offer. A red interior would look really good with the white exterior of my Tester. You can see the door panels are soft touch injection molded plastic. My Tester also has for $3,200 the Bowers & Wilkins stereo, which is really nice sounding. It's one of the best that I've heard in this segment. And then you can see it's nice and padded over here with more of that city weave fabric in the door panel, and it's also slightly padded over here. You have pretty high quality window controls, the typical Volvo stuff here, and it's one touch for all four. You have 2-person memory seats, and then these seats adjust in like 12 different ways. They are heated, but they are not ventilated, and Volvo doesn't offer the massage seats, I believe, on the S60. But it's starting to rain, so let's go ahead and get inside and show you guys the rest of the interior. When I shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk, which gives you that impression of quality. You can see the interior itself has the same basic design. The T8 models with the Ultimate trims all come with the crystal shifter here for the 8-speed auto. To start the vehicle up, you basically have to twist this to the right. And you can hear there is no traditional starter noise because, hello, it's a plug-in hybrid. So instead it just whirs to life with the typical Volvo chimes. You have a new 12.3-inch display over here for the instrument panel, which is slightly customizable. You can, again, put the map in the center there or take the map out. It'll also show a tachometer based on your drive modes. But overall, that looks pretty nice. I also love the Ultimate trim because it has the beautiful leather stitching across the entire dash, which is nice, along with some aluminum trim. The speaker up there is part of the Bowers & Wilkins stereo, which sounds awesome. And then over here, you can see it's got that 9-inch connected or 9-inch display over here that is now running on their latest Google-based software. What I love about it as well is when you pull up the GPS, you can see that's Google Maps right there from your computer. It's right here in your infotainment display. And if you want, you can log into your Google account and it'll basically import all your contacts and whatnot and your search history and all that other stuff, although I don't know how I feel about that. Apple CarPlay, you can see, is connected via a wired connection. My phone is connected right here through a USB-C connection in here. But for some reason, and I don't know why, it was working earlier, but it's not populating the CarPlay. So sometimes I've noticed this system can be a little bit buggy, but we'll try unplugging my phone and replugging it in. And let's see if it'll reconnect. CarPlay, come on. So maybe it'll show me later the CarPlay will work. It basically takes up the entire screen, but as you can see, it's a little bit buggy. The embedded radio system also works pretty well. You can do all your usual favorites and sources and whatnot. And then there's like a home screen over here where you can go to all your different widgets and apps. And then that's also another home button, which will take you to the main screen over here. You can also kind of swipe around there to go to phone. If you swipe down, you can also go into a couple of other settings. There's actually a software update that I need to install, so maybe that's why it's not working very well. And then if you go to your settings here, this is where you're going to access the driver display or the drive modes, because there used to be a little bit of a connector or a dial over here where you'd push it in, you could roll it and change your drive modes from here. Volvo got rid of that. Instead, you can find your drive modes in here, be a hybrid, power, pure, and constant all-wheel drive. You can also change the battery usage to be on a hold or a charge, which is nice. You can also adjust your driver assistance stuff. So I don't love how Volvo moved it from having an actual dial here to just being in the screen, but I guess they're just trying to clean that up, which I understand. Again, still not working for the CarPlay, which is annoying. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your full backup camera and a full 360 camera, which, as you can see, touch that, it gives you a full top-down 360 view. It has front and rear parking sensors. It also has rear cross-traffic braking. This display has decent resolution. Again, the screen is just getting a little bit small, so that's something to keep in mind. I like how Volvo still gives you a traditional volume knob here, but no volume or no tuning knob. Instead, you just have buttons along with a few actual hard buttons over here. You have this kind of glossy piano black plastic where you have a lid that covers the cup holders. It feels pretty sturdy. I love the crystal shifter here. It just looks expensive. I suspect I saw on the new EX90 this shifter was not making it to that vehicle. So I'll be interested to see if Volvo keeps this around. There's nice leather padding around here in the center console area. But as you can also see, this piano black plastic also gets scratched up pretty badly. See, my tester press car here has definitely lived a hard life where somebody has damaged the center console there. Padded armrest over here, which is nice. Open that up. It's very shallow. It's very shallow here because this is where the battery pack lives. It's in the center tunnel here, which I'll show you also kind of eats into the second row or the back seat legroom space, especially for the second passenger. You have two USB storage compartments over there, or storage or USB outputs, which is nice, or input jacks. You can see the seats are also comfortable and supportive. I like how supple it is, but it also holds you in place very nicely, which is good. The steering wheel hasn't really changed. No paddles on the wheel. There is a one-pedal drive effect if you put the transmission into B, so you just have to click it down to go to B. That gives you a one-pedal drive effect. The steering wheel itself offers a manual tilt and telescoping, which is a good amount of adjustability and range. You can adjust the pilot assist from here along with your audio controls. The horn sounds good. It sounds pretty nondescript, but it doesn't sound puny, which is nice. My tester also comes with a heads-up display that's included with the Ultimate package. And then again, I mentioned earlier, the Bowers & Wilkins stereo has 15 speakers and nearly 1,500 watts of power. It sounds amazing, which I love. And then over here in the glove box, it's huge. You can see I actually can fit all my camera equipment in here and then actually close the glove box. So I like how big the glove box is. You have an auto-dimming rearview mirror here, which is frameless, but no digital camera rearview mirror. You have LED map lighting. You have a big panoramic roof, which you can see goes into the back seat, although it's not as big as it could be. There's also a power retractable shade, which is nice for when you don't want the sun to hit you. But overall, the interior Feels comfortable. It feels relatively spacious. It has good materials. I love the build quality and the smell in here, but really what the biggest letdown is in the tech department, and it's mostly in the size of the screen and the fact that I can't get the CarPlay to work, so that's kind of annoying. But those quibbles aside, that's software stuff, and I suspect Volvo will fix that in the coming years. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat of this vehicle so I can show you guys what the space is like. Now, being a compact luxury sports sedan, you have a little over 35 inches of legroom. Now you can see the middle passenger is essentially screwed because the battery does eat up into the center console space. But once I get back here, you can see at 5'7", I have a pretty decent amount of legroom. Shut the door, you can see the door has that same solid thunk. There's still the same soft touch materials with metal speaker covers. I also like how you have rear seat air vents built into the B pillar here. It's nice and padded over here. Again, which is nice. And then you can see here, you do have 3-level heated rear seats. You have 2 USB-C charging ports. Again, this is much larger in this model because of the battery pack. You have 2 storage cubbies. And then if you want, you can fold this down here. It gives you an armrest with cup holders which pop out. And you can also fold this down, I believe, which I can't get it to do it right now, but this does fold down. You just kind of have to, I think it actually folds down when you push it in, which I'm not going to try to do that right now. But overall, in terms of headroom space, you can see the sunroof does eat into the headroom space, but for somebody at 5'7", it's fine back here, but if you're over 6 feet, it might be a little cramped. But overall, if you need to carry adults back here, you can. They just better be below 6 feet tall. So it's been about 4 years since I had a chance to drive the Volvo S60. Remember, this was all new back in 2019. It's now in its 3rd generation. So it's time for Volvo to give this thing a pretty significant refresh. And while I've never had a chance to actually drive the recharge version of this vehicle, I have driven this powertrain in the V60 Polestar engineered, and of course the XC60, which is their best-selling smaller SUV. But this model is a little bit lighter. It's got a serious upgrade in power, 455 horsepower now, which is pretty significant. It should be good for a 0 to 60 time of 4.3 seconds, according to Volvo. But let's go ahead and get out on the road here and see what this thing is like. This black edition is also new for 2022, it was, and it certainly looks good. This thing has some really nice accents, especially when you get it with the white exterior. Now, we are starting off this video on a full charge. It was showing 46 miles on a full charge initially. Now it's showing 43. And Volvo significantly beefed up the electric motor size and the battery capacity. So this should be a lot faster versus the XC60 because it is that was a heavier vehicle. This is a lighter car, but we're in the power drive mode, which is their sport drive mode here. Put it into B mode here. We're gonna brake, torque it, and floor it. Oh, the road's a little wet, but it's all-wheel drive. 4.6 seconds, which is pretty fast, although slower than what Volvo claims, 4.3. Now, I will say the road is a little damp. Unfortunately, it's been kind of rainy and wet all day today, so the front wheels, as you guys heard, are kind of like hopping. They're skipping for traction. It doesn't have any wheel or torque steer, but it has definitely a little bit of wheel hop. We'll try it again later on and see if we can get a better time. Maybe I won't brake torque it the second time and see what we can get for that instance. But overall, this vehicle's power delivery, I think Volvo's done a good job with smoothing it out. It used to be a little bit too lethargic because of the turbo supercharged engine with the electric motor. Now it's just a turbo engine with a much stronger rear electric motor, and it really just fixes the lag that I was initially feeling from the prior engine, the prior powertrain that had the T8 name. But let's just floor it here from a stop and see what we can get. Ooh, feels really fast off the line, actually. Ooh, okay, 4.35 seconds there. So that basically, don't brake torque this car. It doesn't do well to brake torquing. Just floor it from a stop, and this is fast. What is really great about it is you can feel the electric motor torque pushing you in the back of the seat very quickly. It's very instantaneously. And then at the higher revs, the gas engine kind of takes over and adds that 312 horsepower from the gas engine. I mean, this thing should be able to keep up with 6-cylinder competitors from Mercedes, from BMW, from Audi. So this is essentially Volvo's answer to those models, but we'll try again up ahead and see if we can beat that 4.35 second, because that was more slightly uphill versus up ahead will be more on a level surface. Now, in terms of being a sports sedan, in power mode here, which isn't necessarily a sport driving mode, but it does ramp up the throttle response and make the steering a little bit heavier. what I just love is just touch the throttle and this thing just takes off because of all that electric motor torque. The suspension does feel soft in this car. If you guys want it to be even more sporty, you're gonna have to go for the Polestar engineered version, which is about $10,000 more versus the model that I'm driving here. So it's gonna be significantly a little bit more pricey. And then don't forget, Volvo also offers a V60, a wagon version, which is just absolutely gorgeous. For those of you who can afford that or want a really fast wagon that's also a plug-in hybrid, Volvo certainly is one of the only games in town. But overall, as a sporty sedan, it's not bad. It's just not as sporty as the best what I've driven from the BMW M340i or an Audi S4, so kind of keep that in mind. Haven't had a chance to drive the newest C43, but whew, putting your foot down there, this thing just, it just feels fast. And the 8-speed auto actually shifts nicely. And you know what? Volvo has also tweaked the sound of this 4-cylinder. It doesn't sound as awful as the previous T8 powertrains. It has a little bit of a throatier sound to it. It's definitely a fake sound. It's a synthesized noise, but I'd argue that as long as it sounds good, it's fine with me. I want it to sound good, and it actually makes a little bit of burbles and pops from the exhaust, which is definitely a nice little touch, but we'll go ahead and we'll floor it here from a stop. Ooh. Ooh, this thing is fast. Very quick, 4.2 seconds there, so very impressive performance. And this essentially is very close to matching the time that I got in an M340i. That vehicle took about 4.1 seconds. Remember, this car weighs a lot more. It's about a 4,600 pound car, but it definitely feels a lot more sprightly versus the XC60 that I last drove, which had the same powertrain. Put my foot down here, just that all-wheel drive grip, pushing us around the corners. I'm really impressed. I love the Volvo T8 powertrain now. I think the company's done a phenomenal job with making the necessary upgrades that it needs to keep this car competitive. And it's also one of the few plug-in hybrid powertrains that's actually performance-based, because remember, BMW offers a plug-in hybrid on the 3 Series, which I haven't had a chance to drive yet, but it has way less power than this, like 288 versus 455, so almost 200 horsepower less. The Beamer also only goes half as far on a full charge because this has a much larger battery pack. The seats also in this Ultimate version are the sports seats, so they have a more aggressive bolstering. Sadly, no massaging seats, but I do have, you know, very comfortable, like a mixture of different materials, so from the fake leather to the fabric material to the contrasting stitching. They just hold you in place nicely. I can see out of the vehicle very well. Volvo's Pilot Assist system works pretty well as well, although it doesn't have the full-on hands-off driving capability that you'll find from some competitors. So that's something that Volvo, as you guys know, is working on. They're all about their safety, which is great. Visibility from this car also is really easy. You can see out of the front, the sides, the rear very well. There's no digital camera review mirror on this car, but I'd argue you don't necessarily need it. It's a really nicely proportioned sedan, and in terms of quietness, it drives very, very quiet. But let's go ahead and change the drive mode here into pure. And I don't like how now I have to go into the screen to do it, which kind of annoys me. But we'll go ahead and we'll see how this car is like to drive in pure EV mode, because we have almost a full charge here. So let's go ahead and just come to a stop, and let's just see what we get here. So I'm flooring it, but I'm not going past the click point, and it's gonna keep the electric motor from coming, or the gas engine from coming on when I don't do that. But 9.77 seconds when you have it in just pure mode and trying to accelerate to 60 in pure EV mode, which is not bad. That time is acceptable. It is slower versus some of like if you're looking at like a Lexus NX 450h Plus, the plug-in hybrid system from the Prime, that is going to be a little bit faster in pure EV mode, but this is still so much better. I mean, remember, you only have 153 horsepower or 43 horsepower in this mode, but still, put my foot down here, it just kind of feels a lot more like an electric car, which is really nice, actually. I like how they do that. And if you go past the click point in the pedal, that's where it's going to wake up the engine. But if you don't go that far, it actually feels really sprightly. And I'm impressed with how this vehicle drives. It drives like a full EV when you're in this mode, and it's just nice and quiet. You don't hear that engine noise, which the engine doesn't sound horrible, but if you want that experience of I'm driving an electric car, this vehicle will now give it to you, versus in the past, the T8 powertrain was always kind of a disappointment. It never really felt like it was able to drive the vehicle on pure EV mode alone, even when you had it with a full charge. So that's something, again, to keep in mind. Ride quality is also good. It's comfortable, it's smooth. Very little suspension harshness that I'm feeling, which is interesting because when it's in this mode, this vehicle is rear-wheel drive. You can actually feel the back end step out a little bit during slipperier conditions, which is kind of funny to see. So after spending a full week with the fully refreshed 2023 Volvo S60, even though this is not the company's best seller, obviously everybody in America and around the world buys SUVs, Volvo did manage to sell a little over 5,000 units in the US back in 2022. That is a pretty paltry number. In comparison, BMW did around 4 times, or actually 5 times as many 3 Series. Even the Lexus IS outsold this by about 4 times. Lexus did around 20,000 units. So Volvo clearly has some work to do in terms of sales, but the company has never viewed this car as a volume seller. The XC60, their best-selling vehicle, does roughly 60,000 units every year versus the 5,000 units here. But I'm really happy to see that Volvo is keeping this car around, and we should be seeing an all-electric version show up probably in the next 2 years. And really, this one here as a stopgap, the plug-in hybrid powertrain, is definitely the one to get, because with 455 horsepower under the hood, over 500 pound-feet of torque, this vehicle will accelerate to 60 as quick as the 6-cylinder performance options from BMW, Audi, and Mercedes. And you'll realistically do over 40 miles of electric-only range, which is great for those of you who have commutes that will fit into that range scale there, where you can basically just drive this vehicle as a pure EV. And then on those longer road trips, you can get around 500 miles on a full tank, which again, it's the best of both worlds. In terms of sportiness, this car obviously in terms of handling is competent, but it's not the sportiest driving vehicle. It's just a very relaxing car. And then in terms of the tech, Volvo's is starting to get a little bit dated in terms of the screen size at 9 inches, but I do like the new Android Google-based software, which I think works better, but sadly it still lacks wireless CarPlay. At least it now has CarPlay, but you are going to find more impressive systems, of course, from BMW, from Mercedes, and even from Audi with their aging system. In terms of the rear seat space, this is about average what you expect. And remember, if you want more cargo space, you can also buy the wagon, but the wagon's going to cost you a pretty penny more because it only comes as a Polestar engineered. And really the most enticing proposition about the S60 T8 Recharge is the fact that as of this filming at the end of March, this car still qualifies for the $7,500 federal tax credit because Volvo beefed up the battery and because this vehicle is assembled at their plant in South Carolina, which is again makes this vehicle one of the few plug-in hybrids that still qualifies for the tax credit. The S60 T8 Recharge starts at around $10,000 more versus the B5 powertrain. So that starts at around 41 grand, this starts around 51 grand. Now keep in mind, you have to keep the options in check if you want to qualify for the tax credit, because my tester here, being the ultimate trim with the Black Edition package, it basically cost around 64 grand. Remember, there's a price cap of 55 grand. My recommendation, look at either the Pure or the Plus trim and then keep the options in check, and you can actually get the MSRP of this vehicle to be under 55 grand, which is a huge bargain, because if you get it around 54 grand, you minus the tax credit if you qualify for it, and you basically get a sporty compact sedan that can accelerate to 60 in a little over 4 seconds, and also give you 40 miles of electric-only range in the mid $40,000 range, and that sounds like a steal to me. It makes it a better deal, in my opinion, versus the other plug-in hybrid that qualifies, which is the BMW 330e, which has significantly less power and about half the range, although the BMW has a better infotainment system. It's going to come down to what is your priorities. Do you value speed and design as opposed to a better infotainment system? So that's kind of up to you. But Volvo, I think, has a pretty enticing package. So for those of you who are looking for something like that, you should definitely put this at the very top of your list. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2023 Volvo S60 T8 Recharge. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook. And as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.